gonna do?
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
地球の心と物質
All right.
You guys just missed Lucas. You guys just missed him. He just passed by
He was
right
just
now.
in the shot.
He had his whole pit right in the wide cam.
All right, so I know exactly how I feel. So we had an attempt at an intro just now, and we stopped there like midway, and I know exactly how I feel. I feel like if you were to ask me to go in front of a classroom and just, talk about yourself, and then you're like, what the fuck do I say, right? But usually I can just think of anything to say that's just random as fuck, or it could be, just something that will bring the room together.
Right.
But right now I just feel like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is in my brain? How do I get it out? I don't have no thoughts. I have nothing in my brain right now.
And
It's the flu or some shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, talk just how we talk about what's going on in the earth
In our minds.
and how it matters. And it's just, you got nothing
I
going
got
on
nothing,
up there.
bro. There's so much things happening on the earth in our minds and why it matters. But we are back. It's March. Well, it won't be March when you listen to this, right?
It won't be.
It won't. Literally, it won't.
Well, no,
be.
it will be because the last day is the 31st. That's a Sunday.
All right. So if you get the one day, but chances are you won't, or maybe next year you will. So who knows? But regardless,
Who knows when you'll be listening to this episode?
you would probably be alive. You could probably die. That's what I thought about yesterday. Yesterday I was just, I woke up and it was like Saturday morning, and it was mad peaceful because it was raining all day. It was like a nice little calm, rainy day. And I was like, damn, bro, today somebody's going to die. Like so many people are going to die today, And that sucks, Like,
What the fuck, man? Welcome to the show, folks.
today's the last time someone's going to breathe on this earth. And like not just one person, probably like thousands, millions, babies, old men, grandmas. But that's how it goes.
Yeah,
That's how it goes. You're
that
just
is
gonna die.
what's that religion that you were telling me? The chaos and
The chaos. Oh, Discordianism?
Discordianism.
Discordianism. All right, cool. If you haven't heard about Discordianism, fucking
Tell
get to
us.
it.
Tell us.
Shit, bro. I don't got the definition pulled up anymore.
Boy, well, guess what? You got a fucking laptop in front of you.
I do. I finally got a fucking laptop in front of me. The meaning of Discordianism. So it's a belief system based around Eris, the Greek goddess of strife and discord. And basically what it is, it's a postmodern religion in which disorder is as important as order existing within chaos. And if you don't know what the fuck that means, neither do we. But it's a parody religion.
I mean, just from what I grasp from that, like, I don't think you. I think we see differently on it, but the way I see it is even from that picture. That's why I referenced it to like a sort of yin yang thing, because that's just the way I am sort of taking that in, or it's like chaos and order have to coexist together. But then I also see it as a bit nihilistic, where it's just kind of like everything's just shitty.
Yeah.
And it's just, you just have to kind of maneuver your way through it.
I think so too. But it says disorder and order has to exist within chaos. So I think in general, I don't think there is order, because I think order is just compliance. You know what I mean? Like we're all just bearing with one another until you see that crazy motherfucker go on the street just going crazy. Oh, you know what I saw this morning? All right, I know exactly what the fuck I'm gonna talk about.
Let's go.
I found it. All right. So this morning, just fucking go to sleep. This morning I was on Reddit, right? Because when a couple of my topics today we're gonna be talking about some news, and I was going through Reddit, and I don't usually go through Reddit. In the morning, it's usually like Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And funny enough, yesterday...
Usual suspects.
Yeah, pretty Instagram. And so some guy asked me yesterday, he was like, yo, can you take a picture of us? I was like, sure, bud. And so I grabbed his phone, but his phone was completely in black and white, right? So I was like, I was like, do you want me to put color on it? He was like, oh, no, it has color. It's just I put it in black and white so I don't look at my phone as much. Which is a setting you can do with the iPhone.
Yeah, I know you can do that. I know Josh used to do that just to save battery on his phone.
Oh, that makes sense too. But do you think that would help you not look at your phone as much?
Maybe just because it's like, I think in the simplest way, like phones are just so like addicting, kind of like how we're bugs attracted to the light.
Yeah.
So it's just like, when you have something colorful, it's like you're like a little kid. You're like, ooh, wow, look at this. Wow.
And they're so like built for you only, like algorithms and stuff like that. And lately I've been getting the feeling of like, I don't want to be looking at my phone anymore. I'm sure a lot of people get those, lows of like, this sucks. But really for me, like I was on Instagram and everything, and I was just like, bro, I just woke up, like I'm looking at these dumbass reels, like for what? And so I literally close it and I'm like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I open YouTube and start looking at shorts. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm addicted to fucking nothingness,
And it's funny that you won't download TikTok, but you fucking love YouTube Shorts.
I would never download TikTok, not to shit on it, but it's just, first of all, I think I'm just not a believer in the name of it. TikTok is too childish for me, bro. You know what I mean? I can never say,
you want me to go on TikTok? What are you, a fucking baby?
I mean, fucking a man, bro. No, I'm kidding. But like, I just can't with a straight face be like, oh man, did you see that on TikTok? You know, it just is to me, the machismo in me. I can't do that, bro. But I can show you my Insta. I'm kidding.
Man, that's so funny.
The name is a deterrent for sure.
I had a really interesting conversation with Josh the other day because Josh loves TikTok. He's on it all the time, and we had a conversation about cops and stuff.
Shout out cops.
Because we were thinking about going to Austin in July.
Nice, you should, bro. It's fucking fun over there.
So we're thinking about doing that in July.
Yeah.
And when he brought it up, I was like, yeah, I'm down to yeehaw. And he was like, yeah, I just, I'm a little scared because like, I'm just afraid that they're like super pro cop over there. Yeah. And I'm like, bruh, like, you didn't even know that what the bean was in Chicago, and now you're questioning if Austin is pro cop out of all places. I'm like, do you know anything about this country?
Yeah.
But I was just like, he's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's the South, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but it's Austin. It's like the most like progressive city in like Texas.
And there's a bunch of places and anywhere in the States where that's one thing I've learned from like going to different states and everything. Because when I went to Arizona, I think I was probably like 20. No, I had to be 21, but I was super young, you know, from what it felt like. I was super young, and I've always worried about the same thing. But there was one person, she was saying, I don't know who it was, but I overheard it, or it was something like said in my direction. She was saying that, yeah, like I don't travel to other states like that because I'm too worried about racism and cops and this and that. And then I was thinking, that's a terrible way to live your life, you know, to be so worried. I mean, I'm not going to go to fucking, like, Nazi Germany or something. I will go to Germany. But, you know, like...
Just not Nazi Germany.
Just not Nazi Germany. Or, like, you know, somewhere where the Ku Klux Klan is, like, heavily located.
Of course, yeah.
You know? But I was like, that's a terrible way to live your life, to be unaware and still, like, label a place as this and this and this. But I think it's totally understandable if you haven't been there yet. Because I was worried about going to Texas, Austin... Utah, I was even a little like iffy on, but then, but I was used to traveling already. Utah was beautiful,
nice,
and I would just say, man, if you're worried about like the whole cliche or typical thing of the South being racist, like just go and realize like motherfuckers are so nice everywhere else. And of course, there's some shitty people, but motherfuckers are racist here.
Yeah, that's just what it is. But the reason why I brought that up is because Josh was just saying like oh, it's just, you know, I don't know how the conversation sort of turned into this, but he had made the statement that he thinks that New York City is becoming more conservative. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that's a bit extreme. Like, and he had given his reasons about like the National Guard being on the trains, the cops being on the trains, the police brutality that goes on here in the city, and how like he sees on TikTok, like in these police brutality videos in the comments, people will be like, take the respect back, NYPD and shit like that. And I was like, okay, Josh, but, and he also listed like, you know, we have a cop mayor. And he listed all those things. I was like, okay, but like, I understand that, but you also have to think about all the good things that are being done out there that you are not seeing in your algorithm clearly,
like Times Square.
No,
okay. I don't know,
but I just because I was just telling him like I think right now you're getting caught in your algorithm bubble and creating this narrative for you, and you're not really looking at the bigger picture. Like it's easy for you to say that because that's clearly all you're seeing. But I don't see that stuff. Like, yes, I see it from here and there and whatever, but I don't see it all the time on my timeline.
Well, actually, I didn't read the article. I didn't see the headline, but this is when I was looking throughout a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the things we will talk about today is New York City. But it did say that a lot of black liberals are turning conservative, and that the Democratic Party actually has a lot of issues in terms of that going forward. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think I was having a conversation with Beatrice yesterday, and just like summing everything up. And I think the timing of, you know, the migrant crisis and, you know, the wars that are happening and everything, and Biden being so unaware. And I'm not trying
so eepy.
So eepy. Yeah, like even that stuff, you know. It's I think Trump is gonna get reelected again if it really comes down to both of them, you know, just because you know, I mean, younger people will vote, but so will older people. And a lot of younger people are getting a mindset of, that's persuaded by those comments and your algorithm and everything. And Trump just seems like a more
Trendy vote,
like
almost.
energetic candidate, and that's one thing that made me laugh, that I think DeSantis, Megyn Kelly, if I'm not mistaken, the Indian guy, all those people who just I know this happens every single election, but they all shitted on Trump and they all endorse him now, and that's such a crazy thing to run against somebody and say like, this guy's not good for our country, and then just be like, all right, well, I'm not going to be in the race no more, so you might as well vote for him.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And I don't even think you can name two presidential like runners.
Candidates.
Yeah, candidates for this year that are Democratic that aren't Biden.
Yeah.
There's nobody, right?
Like, and I just think that's interesting because like, I was trying to tell Josh of just how like, I understand that those things are happening, but I feel like it's a little too early to say that and whatever. And he was just really iffy about that.
Yeah.
And I just had a conversation last night about like politics is similar to this conversation where I was just we were saying that we're just kind of become a little nihilistic at this point where we're just kind of like, it all sucks. Like,
it does all suck. Yeah,
it really
does.
just sucks.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like at the moment there's not much other options, but at the same time it is still pretty early on in the year.
Yeah.
Like,
but that really has nothing to do with it, because in general it's just the state of everything. Like, this is what I'll say. I think for New York City, I think there's no way it's going to become conservative, because New York City is as blue as Florida is red. Like it's one of the most liberal states in the whole, like, United States of America. So like that's probably unlikely, and it'll take a long time for it to shift. Just like California. California is super blue. But I don't know. I think like Eric Adams being elected as a cop, like that isn't. I think people are looking at that. I think Josh is looking at it the wrong way. I think he was elected because he was black, and then he was, people look towards that, and that they thought that would change, the whatever. Because people do vote based off that. If I saw a Mexican candidate, I'd be like, I'll probably vote for that guy, and he's gonna be like, deport you motherfuckers. I'd be like, still, bro,
Yeah. Wait. What?
Yeah, and I think I always say this. The reason I say that is because New York City, again, was so against cops, so for defunding the police, and then they elected a cop.
Yeah.
So there's no way that they elected this guy purposefully, or the wrong people. Those people that are showing up to protest aren't showing up to voting polls. But if that, if you put one on one together, it just makes sense that they were like, oh, look, we need a person of color in office that'll change the system. And this guy is hilarious. This guy is really funny, man. And I like him because he's kind of like Trump, where he's like kind of like this celebrity almost now, where he's so happy and go get him. But
like that sticker.
yeah. And he's but even with the migrant thing that's happening, I'm pretty sure initially he was open arms about it.
Yeah.
When Texas and Florida was sending people on busloads over here, I think he was like, yeah, this is fine. Like, we'll take them with open arms. And now he's like, it's a problem. We got to get rid of these motherfuckers, And I don't know. I think it's interesting. And I think that whole topic of the Venezuelan thing is crazy. Have you noticed anything around New York City in terms of that, like with your own eyes or videos?
The most that I see is just at work.
Yeah. That's one you'll definitely see. Because you're around, what's it, Harlem?
Harlem, yeah. So it's just, at my job, I just see a lot of patients come in, like new patients and stuff that are coming from Venezuela and whatever. And setting up like their doctors, and they have insurance already and all this shit and whatever. And I'm just like, yo, how the fuck do you have insurance but not a social security number?
Yeah, man.
So
it's crazy.
So it's just, it's definitely a wild thing. But by the end of that conversation with Josh, I was just trying to tell him, I was like, I personally just don't necessarily agree with like the abolishment of cops.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, me neither. That's crazy.
Like, I just think what I was telling Josh, I think the biggest issue is that it's more of a systemic issue where it's just I think it's just too easy to be a cop.
Yeah,
like
100%. Yeah.
And then I related it to the BoJack episode with Neil McBeal, the Navy SEAL, where this Marine SEAL and BoJack got into a whole discourse throughout an episode, and BoJack basically blows up like on the news where he was like, oh, this guy's just a jerk. Like, okay, like you can't just give a jerk a gun and then call him a hero. And then everyone's like, oh, BoJack just called the SEALs and the Marines jerks.
Yeah.
And it's just, but that it's very true,
Yeah.
and like it's very applicable to cops. It's like there's not a doubt in my mind that there are plenty of cops out there that just became cops because maybe they were bullied growing up.
Yeah.
Maybe they're insecure and got like weird daddy issues or shit like that.
Well, I mean, doubt for me would be a good reason because then you can stop. Like, if that's a reason for you to be a cop, then you can stop people from, doing that to other people in some sense, right?
Of
And if
course.
you're, like, some people learn how to fight because they were bullied when they were younger and they become these great fighters. A lot of UFC fighters were bullied when they were younger.
Yeah.
And they're some of the nicest people out there and they can knock
Without a
people
doubt.
out.
It's just, I think the big difference between people
Yeah.
like that and cops is that cops got a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, but again,
And-
I mean, I think what I'm trying to say is that they can still be good cops because of that. I think
Without a doubt,
Yeah,
because that's my biggest
Yeah.
thing. It's just like I was just trying to tell Josh, like for as many shitty things that you see the cops do, you have to give credit to the cops that are out there trying to do what's right.
Yeah.
Like that. It's not like there aren't good cops.
I mean,
out
I'm
there.
sure-
That's an insane thing to say.
I think most cops become them so they can get paid well, first of all. Even though they'll be like, we don't get paid that well. I'm like, yes, you do, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and then like the budget is so high for cops and they're so respected ish. But I think what my thing about it is that there's too much unhealthy cops. Like for me, it's like, bro, I seen cops bigger than me, bro. And I'm like, you're bugging out. And I'm like, if you can't outrun somebody, like you need to, I don't want to see fat cops. You get what I mean? Like if I see a fat cop and my life's in danger and they're on the way, I'm like, all right, just kill me, bro. Because this motherfucker's not gonna do anything.
It's like it's like in Jump Street with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. It's like just two like
Yeah.
they're like two parts of one brain.
Exactly.
And it's like we need people that look like Channing Tatum but have like the work ethic of Jonah Hill in Jump Street.
And what's it called? And I think when you're unhealthy like that, overweight, or even have mental issues and stuff like that, I think your decision making skills are just completely out of whack, And I think that's what it really comes down to in the moment. Going back to the Reddit videos I was watching, there was this one cop who was there, who was huge. I think it was in Britain though, because he was wearing the green vest. Silly Britons. And then
Get a load of this guy in his vest. What a loser.
but he had a gun pointed at some guy coming towards him, and the guy coming towards him had like a big pole kind of swinging at him back and back and back. And the guy with the cop, he had the gun, but he didn't shoot anything yet. And he was coming at him for like a good 5-6 seconds. And then the guy finally got close, the assailant, and he swung at the cop. But then the cop point blank shot, I think 7 times, and he finally hit him on the 8th time. But they were just as close as right here, And he ended up killing the guy from what it seemed like. And the guy was assaulting the cop. And to be fair, the cop was waiting a while to shoot this guy. He was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And the guy was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then he did it and he got shot. But then I also seen a video of a guy who I'm assuming is homeless in California walking around eating a human leg. Yeah. You see that?
I didn't see the footage, but I read the story about it.
God, bro, yeah, it's a video.
I didn't want to watch the footage. I was like, no, thank you.
We could put it up. We'll put it up here. Yeah, but it'll be blurred.
I'm not looking at it.
no. Like, for the videos, I'll show you later. But the viewers to watch.
I'm not looking at it.
It's super obscure. Even if it's uncensored, you can't really see the leg. But I was like, no way, maybe it's not a leg. But when you see the video, you're like, oh shit, that's a leg, And then 4 cops came, and he was like, what? And then the comments were funny, man, because one of them was like, it's so sad to see how hungry homeless people have become that they're like, they would go this far to eat a leg. Like, why are you guys hating on him? And some other cop was like, nah, bro, this motherfucker's eating a leg.
Yeah, what
like,
the fuck?
And I was like, yeah. And then it was just the funny back and forth. What's it called? And so I seen that and I was like, yeah, damn, bro, this is crazy. And I just realized like Reddit was just so like crazy with everything. And I think Telegram is even wilder. Telegram will show you like people getting killed and shot. Like I looked up a bunch of the footage of Russia and Ukraine on Reddit. And I saw a dead German Shepherd, and I was like, "Oh man, that fucking sucked." I'll show you that video later. I'll show you that video when you're at acid.
Yeah, right. Jesus,
like, you just on acid having a good time. Be like, look at this dead dog. I would never do that to you, bro.
I'd probably cry. I would probably cry,
bro. I saw it, and I was like, "That sucks, man. That fucking sucks so much." But I do have a couple topics, and actually, it all kind of tethers into like what we're talking about now.
Nice. Funny how that works out.
Yeah. But one of them is the quickies will come first, and one of them is the Russia Moscow thing that just happened. The shooting and have you seen the video of the shooting and everything?
I didn't see the video.
Oh my god, bro! I gotta I want to show you actually real quick because what's it called? Actually, no, I'll just talk about it. So basically, there was a shooting at a theater hall in Moscow, right? The reason, if you sorry, if you've seen Tenet, which you have, right?
Yeah. Trash ass movie,
bro. Nah, it was alright.
Stupid ass.
It was
movie.
ridiculous.
Yo, that movie got me so tight. Oh my god. Like, we said we were gonna talk about it on the show. We'll just 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. All right,
that's it. But just
spoiler alert. By the way,
I hate that movie. I by the end of that movie, Frankie, I was seriously there, like just tearing it apart. Where I was like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
That's why when it comes to Christopher Nolan, like he still has yet to really not earn my respect. What am I saying? But like really, like be like for me to be like, wow, this is incredible. Because when I was watching Tenet, I was like, this is gonna be great because it's it's supposedly great. And then I remember I mentioned it to somebody I was playing pool with, and they were like, "Yeah, you know Denzel Washington?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's his son in there." And he said it like almost like, like wow. And I was like, I didn't think the acting was that good at all. Like his acting was not great whatsoever,
dude. There's corny
lines too. A lot of corny lines.
He's such a boring character.
Yes, he is.
Like he and it's sad because he is a good actor.
Is he?
John David Washington, I think is his name.
Yeah.
But he's in you've seen this Black Klansman.
Yes.
He's in. He's in that movie.
He's the guy who plays
the lead,
the Klan guy. Well, he pretends with a white voice and everything, right?
He's the lead. So it's just he's a good actor. He does good shit.
Yeah, he's great in that movie.
Just Tenet was just he is so
his
boring.
character he's just kind of like serious the whole time, and
the fact that his name is just the protagonist, and it's like, yo, man, like I said what I said about that movie is that that's Christopher Nolan going full Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
and it's just like you never want to go full Christopher Nolan.
I like one of the comments. They were like, it's like a comment that says, how much confusion do you want in your movie? And Christopher Nolan's like, yes. Yeah.
Because like I tore it apart where I was just like, it literally doesn't make sense.
And you know what else I have a spiel with? The British accent of the lady who I couldn't understand. I hate British accents in the movie, bro. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying, bro?
Fucking just speak normal. What the fuck was that? God damn. Yo, I'm about to.
That was my bad impression of but anyway, yeah, Tenet is it's incredibly confusing because even for me, I was like, nah, I'm gonna try to pay attention. And if you wander off for 1 second, if you're in a theater and you're just like, oh yeah, yesterday I had pizza, okay, I'm back, you missed so much explanation of everything. And it was kind of stupid with the whole bullets coming back, and then you gotta go forward in time, but you can't go back in time because if you go forward in time, you come across yourself, you're gonna fuck up. It's just so much. And then people really praise it though. People really praise its heavy storyline though.
I think for me, like it just bothered me so much because I felt like Christopher Nolan because he has great concepts. Yeah. Like he has these great ideas and stuff, and like how well he executes them is completely up to your opinion. Yeah. But it's just, I think he had this idea for Tenet and he was like, this is insane. This is wild. Yeah. Like I got to figure it out somehow. And like, that scene where the whole like time stuff gets explained, that whole exposition scene where it, like she says something along the lines of like, you just need to feel it. When she said that, I was like, fuck you.
When he picked up the bullet with his hand and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like when she said that you just need to feel it.
It's like a little shortcut around everything.
I was like, shut up. I was like,
no, but she was saying that like, because it hasn't happened yet, like, you have to, be like you're gonna make it happen eventually, so therefore it will occur in the past. I don't know.
She did explain it, but then by the end of all that, she just basically said, "You just gotta feel it," and I was just like, "Shut up, man!" Like,
I think it's impressive that he's able to write a story like that does technically make sense.
I think, for in his logic.
No, I think the whole point of it is that if it's broken down, it does make sense. I saw a video explanation on it where some guy goes through not per scene, but like per parts of the movie, and I mean it does, but it's just there's no way. I think if you watch that movie and you're like, that was incredible, you're lying. And I think because and then those who are saying like, yeah, like it's so sad that people don't want to appreciate Christopher Nolan's work for creating this incredible sci-fi-esque, movie where it involves such critical thinking. I'm like, no, bro, because nobody can understand what the fuck happened. Yeah. I'm sure most people had no idea. And I think the explanation of the movie is incredible. I think when you look up the explanations, then you're like, oh, I can kind of appreciate that, But it has subpar acting, extremely corny lines. lines within it. You know, like when he goes, what was it? I think he was in the kitchen fighting, and they picked up a knife, and he's like, "Oh, I was hungry anyway." And I was like, "Bro, shit,
I don't even remember that.
It's just terrible, man. It's just like those type of lines really bother me now because I think when you're trying to write a sophisticated movie, like in terms of Christopher Nolan and Tenet, and then you have corny line writing like that. I'm happy Oppenheimer didn't really have that, but it did have a couple.
Imagine right before they hit the button, they were like, "You ready for this?"
By the way, I think Oppenheimer, I think Poor Things was way better than Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer was one of the weakest movies on that whole list. I don't think it was that great. I think Oppenheimer, like everything else, like, you know, in terms of like, I think Robert Downey Jr. did great. I think he should have won that. I think visually did great. But for movie of the year, I think America is just propaganding his ass off and trying to say fuck Japan. I don't think it was that impressive. You know, I think because Poor Things was, I think, the movie
it's funny
of the
that
year.
you say that because then, you know, Godzilla did win an Oscar. So it's like,
shout out.
Maybe you're onto something.
That's what I'm saying, dog.
And so it's just, you know, maybe they just threw a bone for Godzilla.
Fuck Japan, man. Fucking Japan, not fuck Japan. Our intro is in Japanese. But yeah, I think if you haven't watched Poor Things, you haven't watched Poor Things. Go check that shit out. They're showing it in the theater still. It's such a great movie, and it's so, like, it's movie of the year. Anatomy of Fall was incredible. Zone of Interest sucked. The Holdovers I don't watch because I feel like it's gonna be too sad. I don't know, man. I think, but I'm happy for Oppenheimer. Like, it wasn't a bad movie. When I rewatched it, I was like, this is fucking good. You know, it just. I mean, bro, if you watch any of the movies on those lists, particularly Poor Things, like, you'll be like, oh wow, like, this is an actual, like, film. Right. This is a beautiful film that just takes you into a different world, where Oppenheimer is just a retelling of a story that we kind of already knew, and it doesn't even get specific into what he's really, you know, his mindset and this and that. It's more so just him fucking Florence Pugh and then the bomb going off. That's literally what we all remember, you know? The investigation scene was dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, but fucking anyway. All right, so Tenet.
All right, yeah.
Sorry, that was the little movie wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, we did pretty well. That was about like 6 minutes right there. So.
But if you haven't seen Tenet, if you just look up the opening scene, do you remember the opening scene?
Fuck, I don't.
Where it's like a shooting in a theater and stuff like that. Okay. Does this not look exactly like the theater that it was shot up in? If you remember,
what the fuck?
It's like actually resembling.
Holy shit!
And if you watch the video. In the movie, and I only mentioned the movie, even if you haven't seen Tenet, like, you should watch the opening scene to see what I'm talking about. In the movie, they're literally shooting at people and stuff like that. Well, they're shooting at the people down there because there's police response. But in the actual real life, they're shooting civilians at point blank, and they're just killing everybody. And then they set fire to the theater, which they also did in the movie. Yeah, you know, and it's incredible how literally similar it looks. You know, aside that. Basically,
it's like what they say, like, a truth is sometimes stranger than fiction.
Yeah, man, it's insane. So I haven't shown you the videos, but they do show people, like, dying. So I don't know if you want to see that stuff. But I came across the footage yesterday, and I'm only talking about it because it's such major news. And basically, 133 people died. You know, so I when I heard about it at first, I thought nobody died, but 133 people died.
And that's like the official, like,
I'm sure people are injured though. I'm sure there's people injured, people are dying, but that's like right now. They did the memorial, I think, today, and people were lining up to donate blood and everything. And this actually came after Putin's re-election, his 5th term. Jeez. Yeah, it's crazy, man. There's actually a video also on Reddit where some girl goes up to the election box, and she pours paint down the box to, like, get rid of the votes. But people in the comments were basically saying that, you know, this election is going to Putin anyway. You know, it's like there's no other way. And Putin basically said that the 4 people that were part of the whole thing. I mean, man, this is one clip where there's a guy, like, dying on the floor, like, he's pretty much dead, and the guy goes up to him with a knife and just slits his throat like Jesus 5 times, and the guy rolls over. And it's insane how, like, you can see everything. The 4 people, Putin said that when they finished doing what they did, that they were fleeing towards the border of Ukraine, trying to head over there, right? And Zelensky said, "You're lying." I think you're lying. Because the Islamic State took responsibility on Telegram. They said, we did this. I think it's Kremlin, the group or something, but it is, right? But it's part of ISIS. Yeah. You know, so I didn't know that whole, you know, detail and stuff. But what's it called? And earlier in March, the US sent info to Russia saying that there's a planned terrorist attack in Moscow. And Putin was like, no way. He said, quote, All this resembles outright blackmail and the intention to intimidate and destabilize our society. End quote.
Bruh.
And then this happened. So
Yeah, man.
he fucked up.
Putin, like,
Yeah.
he probably has like the smallest dick, man.
He's badass, bro.
Like-
that's actually funny. Cat Williams on his what's it called, podcast with Joe Rogan, he said, the world is full, like the people that are doing the worst things in this world are the ones that have a micro penis, and nobody will know that, only them and their doctors.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like, that's really what it is, because you must think Hitler and all these people and fucking Santa Claus. I don't know.
Fucking Napoleon.
Yeah. He had a hog, bro. Napoleon. If you watch the movie Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix, he's just walking around with a tripod type as.
He's got a third leg half of the movie.
His voice was like, "Hey,
I'm Napoleon."
I'm
and starts dancing down the stairs.
Yeah, but people are worried. I mean, I only got so much of it because, but ultimately, people are worried that Putin's going to use this to put way more attacks on Ukraine and stuff like that. And as far as I can tell, people are still saying that Ukraine is still winning against Russia, and I think that's BS. I really don't think that's happening because I know Russia is making a lot of progress, and I think regardless of anything, whether or not one or the other is like doing better, Russia is still prospering internally in terms of like state affairs and just like society moving forward. So
They
think,
just had the benefit of just being a bigger like country,
exactly,
whatever.
exactly. And I do think that like the newspapers that are reporting Ukraine is like victorious and like dominating Russia is complete. Like for me personally, I think it's complete like propaganda and lies.
Oh, I mean, there's gonna be propaganda on both sides for sure. Where it's like, in Russia, I'm sure they're saying they're kicking ass, and Ukraine, I'm sure they're saying they're kicking ass.
Yeah.
But I think to be in the middle of it, I think just from what I still see, like, and even when I covered it on the show before, I just kind of said like, not that Ukraine is winning, but it's just like they're sort of defying expectations where it's like a lot of people thought that like Russia was probably going to do this overnight, just take over Ukraine and that's it. But the fact that it's still going on.
Yeah, but it's modern day age war, and it's like a lot of drones being used back and forth. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the size of a country matters in terms of who wins the war, like, because I think that's where the logic comes from, that Russia is so huge geographically, and Ukraine is not as huge. But I think in terms of just brutal force and how Putin is willing to go the extra mile to really fuck shit up. I don't know. I mean, again, I just don't know either. I haven't read up on it. So
I only mentioned like the size of Russia, just not because of like to measure that as like how in power or strength.
Yeah.
I just mentioned the size of Russia when you mentioned like the integrity in, internally, how they're doing and stuff. Where it's just they have the benefit of having just more shit going on to like run their country, whereas Ukraine is a lot smaller.
Yeah.
They have less people, this and that. But it's
crazy, bro.
I wasn't comparing it so much in terms of like strength and power, but I just think it's so wild that Russia is such a big country.
Yeah,
it's the size of the moon.
Yeah, man. And it's cold as fuck over there. I saw a video of some Russian soldier get caught, and the Ukrainians cut off his ear and fed it to him.
Jesus.
Yeah, right. It was crazy this morning. This morning I'm just like,
man.
And all I hear is,
You were like, I'm tired of looking at Instagram reels. I need to look at some fucking beheadings and like war crimes.
Yeah, man. And this will just say no reaction. Don't even react to this. I think the Israel-Palestine thing, if I'm not mistaken, China and some other big continent or country, whatever, I forget, vetoed the ceasefire.
Okay.
That's what we'll say. Anyway. All right, so... Take that as you will. Oh my God, bro. Okay, I'm gonna keep on track, but I went into the best halal food in New York City. The best
in Astoria, right?
Astoria. The best halal food in New York City. It's off Broadway. I forget what it's called at the time, but it's right next to Sanford's in Astoria off Broadway. So if you look up the halal place right next to Sanford's. Anyway, so I go in, and initially on the floor, I see somebody's face with like an X crossed out, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then I look up on the sign and it says Free Palestine. I'm like, okay. And then I walk in, and then on the floor they have like pictures of Biden, like world leaders and this and that, all with like X's on their faces, like murderers right next to them. And then I look up at the menu because they have TV menus, and one of them says like Free Palestine, like these guys are murderers, blah 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 blah. And on the wall there's a flag with Biden's face. You know when a Porky Pig comes up and he's like, "That's all, folks," you know, but it's Biden because calling him like a clown, like, you know, this and that. And I was like, I'm just trying to, I just want chicken over rice. I was like,
you were looking around, you're like, chicken over rice?
Yeah, basically. And then fucking when, there was something I was going to cover in terms of, you know, when you buy stuff and do you want to round up and donate this change? You know, so that's happening. That's the whole thing. It's not that interesting.
Like that South Park episode, the Whole Foods episode.
Which one?
When the Whole Foods opens up in South Park, and Randy, he goes in and every time he like buys groceries,
like, do you want to round up?
Yeah, he's like, no, I really don't want to. And the cashier is just like, are you sure? Like, you don't want to help this child? They need food.
And then they kill the child afterwards and shit.
I don't remember what the result of that was, but that was a funny ass episode.
That was a Jordan Key and Peele sketch where they were like, do you want to help this kid? He's like, no. He's like, we're going to shoot the kid. He was like, all right. What's it called? But it was like, do you want to donate to Palestine, you know, blah, blah, to provide sources? And I was like, man, I feel like if I say no, I'm not getting the chicken over rice.
Right.
So I said yes and then tipped $2. And I was like, all right, for Palestine. I was like, chill, bro. It was intense. It was, I mean, I get it.
That sounds intense.
I get it completely. And I think they're in the right to do that. I think it's perfectly fine. But oof, man, imagine being Jewish wanting some halal. You just walk in there, turn right back out. You're like, nope, maybe next year.
Boy, it's Ramadan right now.
Oh, but bro, that food is so good. I highly suggest it, bro. It's the best in the whole world. It's so fucking. You haven't tried it yet, right?
Nah.
We gotta go, bro. I'm with it. I'll take you, bro.
Oh my God.
It's so good. I'll take you so I can eat, bro. You could just. Anyway. I have a really quick story, which is like, it's not that interesting, but I think it's kind of funny.
Okay.
So a pastor in California by the name of Samuel Castillas, the man of Christ. He's a man of Christ, right? He's 47 years old. And apparently he didn't like his daughter's boyfriend. So he met up with a hitman. Yeah.
Nice.
This just happened. And he was like, yo, bro, I don't like my daughter's boyfriend. Here's where he's going to be. And here's $40,000. So he gave him $40,000 to kill his daughter's boyfriend. The hitman was like, bet, you know? And so then the hitman found the boyfriend and he drove up beside him. He said, pa, 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 pa. And he shot him, but he only shot like him a couple of times, I guess. And he shot his phone. So the boyfriend survived and he couldn't call the cops because his phone got shot. Oh, so he drove himself to the hospital.
Oh, and shit.
I think he's fine. So basically they're both in custody with $1 million bails. And yeah, and they got fucked over. And I just think that, so one of the pastors, another pastor at the church that he had like, that Castillas had like, you know, God talk at, they asked him about it, like, oh, what do you think about the situation? And this man said, quote, we hold services and people come in for special events. So we have no idea who's speaking or who's singing. I have never heard that man's name before. Know nothing about him. It has nothing to do with our church.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was just like, fuck that guy.
Wow.
And I saw another article that said like he doesn't even work here.
That's crazy.
They were like he was just like a 10-year volunteer or something like that. And so they completely regarded him. Yeah, they were like, yo, get this guy.
This guy, get him out of here.
And apparently last month, former Missouri middle school principal admitted to hiring a hitman to murder a teacher who was pregnant with his child. Isn't that crazy? So it's just interesting, like, who hires hitmen? And it's people in positions like pastor, principal, like people that have careers that start with P. I don't know. I thought that was isn't crazy, but
I think that's interesting just because it's like I remember seeing some meme or someone was like, I strive to be a hater, like how as much of a hater as what's his face, Eddie Brock in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, where he just when he prays to the graveyard, like, please kill him.
Yeah, it's like he didn't even know that like Peter was Spider-Man and was praying to God to kill Peter Parker. He was praying to kill a photographer. So it's just like that's insane that a pastor could be like,
so man, vicious, right?
Like, I believe in God, but that dude, you need to die. I don't like him.
I was going to say, like, he should have just prayed for him to die. Right? Shit, man. Yeah, so that happened. I thought that was just like, I was like, all right, a little juicy, but not too juicy. It's like a hit,
Yeah,
man.
that's like
Little zest.
medium rare.
Little zest, right. But then I got another story that I thought was crazy because we've talked about this before. So have we or have we not talked about animal organs going into human beings in the past?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Well, do you remember exactly what it was?
I think that's when I talked about dead pigs being revived.
Yes, like zombie pigs or some shit like that. So
Yeah.
that's an old episode that we could put here.
Episode 27.
Okay. And what's it called? And so I found a news article basically. So just to start off, in the United Network for Organ Sharing, more than 100,000 people in the U.S. are awaiting an organ for transplant, and 17 people die each day waiting for an organ, which is
Jeez.
crazy. I didn't know that. Someone close to me needed a kidney, and that was insane. You know, he's super young, so thankfully he's okay. His dad gave him his kidney. Shout out to both of them. Beautiful people. I love you both.
Hell yeah.
Kidneys are the most common organs needed, according to literature published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology. Right? And in the U.S., 36 million people are affected by chronic kidney disease. 800,000 have end-stage kidney disease or kidney failure, and this requires a new kidney. Right? If they don't get a new kidney, they have to go through dialysis, which is extremely painful, and you have to be in the hospital constantly.
Yeah.
You know? And I didn't know that. Like, I knew that beforehand, but when that happened to someone close to me, I was like, that's crazy. I don't know, you know? So we get to a guy called Richard Slayman, right? And he's 62 years old. And he's one of those people that had end-stage kidney, like, whatever. And he got a kidney from a human being 5 years ago, but it ended up failing, right?
Okay.
So he went back to dialysis, went to the hospital again. But thankfully, we have xenotransplantation. And what xenotransplantation is the transplantation of organs or tissues from other animals. So,
You know, immediately, I don't know if you know this, in the alien movies, the aliens are called xenomorphs.
no way.
Yeah.
That's fucking
So,
amazing. I mean,
you know, this is a little weird.
little pig Latin.
X-nay. That's all I know.
Me too, bro. I don't know. I only say that because he got a kidney from a pig.
Okay.
So it kind of didn't make sense at all. I just want to use the
He
pig.
got it. He got it from Mayor Adams.
I think so. Oh,
get a load of this
shit.
guy.
I was waiting for
I don't have a budum.
We'll just put it in post.
Budum.
Yeah, no, you need the pew, 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 pew. That's
Yeah,
what you need.
I do.
All right, so so he got a kidney from a pig, and this is crazy because it's the first successful animal to human organ transplant. Which
Until
is
it's not.
no, exactly, but it's kind of insane because I know we were talking about it, and people are constantly trying to do it, I guess, but one of the biggest risks to that process is that the immune system will reject the organ, right? Or an infection can sprout.
Your immune system's gonna be like, yo, this shit ain't human.
Yeah, like, what
the
are you
fuck
doing?
is this?
But apparently when they went in there, the doctor was like, it immediately began to pink up. And he was like, it was the most beautiful pink he'd ever seen or some shit like that. I was like, all right, weirdo.
What if, like, that guy gets off on surgery?
But
But probably got his dick out while he does the surgery.
Between the boxer hose.
That's it's a good surgery.
Yeah, the best, bro. And so, yeah, he got his kidney and now he's kind of man bear pig a little bit.
Yeah.
But they genetically edited it using CRISPR, Cas9. You heard of CRISPR before, right?
No, I know.
You never heard of CRISPR?
I know. Crispy on Discord.
Okay, let me look it up for you. Okay, from my knowledge, we're gonna clarify right now. But from my knowledge, CRISPR is like if you're trying to have a baby, you can go through the stages of it and then basically make sure your baby doesn't have these diseases, deformities, all that stuff. And I think even to the extent where you can like
Genetically modify them
like
before
eye
they're born.
color and this and that.
Oh, you know what?
It might not be CRISPR, but it's along that realm.
I do know about that.
Yeah.
You know, there's actually an old movie where there's something like that. Like it's like a sci-fi movie. I think it has Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it.
Yeah. Flubber.
And it's about him and like his brother, and like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is just kind of like, is just has a lot of like body issues and whatever. He's not like demorphed or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know the word, but
Derp. He's not derp.
Yeah, it's just he's just more of like a average type of guy, like less than average type of guy, I guess. And his brother was genetically modified to be like perfect or whatever.
Really?
And so like the whole movie is just like him just dealing with that. It was just like, yo, man, like
Too perfect.
Like well, it's about Joseph Gordon-Levitt comparing himself to his perfect brother that was genetically modified.
Okay.
And that's like the whole movie. I can't remember the name of it, but that was an interesting ass movie.
It's crazy. It sounds. I mean, I gotta watch it to see it because also on Reddit I saw a video of a guy. They were getting ready to send these Russians to the army, and so they're at the shooting range, and so there's 3 of them lined up. And then when the instructor walks away from one guy, the guy turned the gun on himself, shot himself in the head. And they were saying like, because he didn't want to go to war. That's sad. That was sad.
Jeez.
I was like, damn, rest in peace, homie.
Man.
I smile because it's not funny, but it's crazy, right? It's
What was that little laugh?
I don't know. All right, so fucking. The essence of CRISPR is simple. It's a way of finding a specific bit of DNA inside a cell. After that, the next step in CRISPR gene editing is usually to alter that piece of DNA. However, CRISPR has also been adapted to do other things too, such as turning genes on or off without altering their sequence. It's crazy we can do that shit.
This is the future.
Yeah, so it's insane. Nowadays you can do that. And yeah, so they're hoping for 2 years success rate, and in the meantime that he can find another kidney to put in him that's human.
Oh, so this is only temporary.
Well, no, they don't know. They just don't know because it's the first ever successful genetically edited transplant from a pig to a human.
So they're estimating that if everything is fine, 2 years from
2
now,
years minimum. Yeah.
2 years minimum.
It could be 5, it could be 10, it could be a year. They don't really know, but they see the success they saw was like promising.
Okay.
But they did say that in the midst of everything, a lot of people are gonna want to try this, but many people will die and continue to be sick before they figure it out. So it's pretty like don't take this as a big huge breakthrough. Man, we got a shortage of bacon, but what's it called? I don't know. I think it's interesting because it all comes full circle back to that, and people have been trying to do that forever.
And like with Tenet too.
Yeah.
And like, that trash ass movie.
And yeah, man. So another mini one because I have one more big topic and stuff.
Nice.
But it's the cartel and timeshares. Have you heard about that?
I don't think I have.
Random stories. Mind you, I thought all these stories were shit last night. Last night I was like, these are gonna be the worst stories ever. They're pretty interesting. But last night I was like, I'm gonna do horrible tomorrow. But don't think like that. Set yourself up for success. Manifest that.
You gotta look at yourself in the mirror and go, essay.
Exactly. Basically, this is very short because it's kind of boring to explain throughout. But the cartel, so they had a lot of industries like smuggling drugs, avocados, stuff like that. Killing people, murdering people, whatever. Yo, watch Narcos Mexico. So good. But one of the things they're doing now is that they're taking advantage of older people with timeshares. And what they'll do is that, say you bought a timeshare in 2012, right? And you bought it for like $7,000, best year. And then I called you and I was like, Primo. And you were like, yes. And I was like, do you want to sell your timeshare to me and make a lot of money? You'd be like, yeah, of course, right?
Okay.
But then I'd be like, all right, so perfect. Send me the money and we're going to make it happen, blah, blah, blah. We hang up the phone. Then they'll be like, yo, we have to pay the fee, like the violations. We have to pay for advertising. Like, you need to send more money. And then the people will be like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll keep sending. And they'll constantly keep doing this. And some of the people that were in the article, they didn't want to put in their last names because they were so embarrassed or this and that.
Right.
And they're basically saying that this would continue to happen and happen. And every single time they would be like, no, but this is the last payment, trust me. And then you'll get all your money and stuff like that, right? And then afterwards they would just disappear. And they would lose, I'm talking like $1 million, $900,000.
Jesus.
And I kind of want to, I should have looked up the fucking, the amount, whatever.
They need a signed copy of Deathly Hallows.
Yeah, bro. Fucking, but, yeah, some like they say that I'm gonna throw out the money. What's it called? I'm trying to find the number. Say something real quick.
Just even hearing that just sounds so shitty. Like it reminds me of the one story to kind of make it full circle again. The one story that I brought up about the pastor who cheated out like some older woman for like $90,000 or whatever, and it's just like, yo. But why? Like, just leave old people alone.
Nah, man. Old people are the best people to take advantage of.
and stuff like that was actually happening to Stan Lee before he passed away.
Really?
Like
with like his characters and stuff like that.
Not even that. Like one of his finance people or whatever was basically funneling money for themselves.
Wow. Yeah.
And like just lying on the books and like because Stan Lee doesn't fucking look at his shit that, so he doesn't know. Yeah. And it wasn't until someone in his family after Stan Lee passed away, I'm pretty sure after he passed away, someone in his family looked at the records and like, yo, this fucking dude's been stealing money for years from Stan Lee.
And then Stan Lee's like, what?
Yeah, just staring at tits.
Super sleepy. Apparently, the timeshare industry had made like 10.5 billion in sales in 2022.
Okay,
a 30% jump, right? And then what's it called? But let's see. Over the past 5 years, American timeshare owners were bilked out of $288 million, according to the FBI, from these cartels, right?
Wow.
And various types of scams, but mostly the ones, including the ones run by the cartel, not mostly, right? The crazy thing is that the real number is probably larger, but 80% of those defrauded never register a complaint because they're embarrassed. Yeah, man. And it's super sad because, man, people getting robbed of $1 million, like retired people, like $900,000. I think some guy sold a house of their son and everything, and so. My peoples, bro, what you doing? and yeah, so I mean, it's super interesting how they'll find different ways. And I think another thing about it, I know, is that if this does happen to you and you want to report it, you have to report it, I think, to Mexico, and you need a Mexican lawyer. And it would come down to like the government in Mexico. Then you think about the cartel and the control they have within it, and like these lawyers, these politicians, and this and that. Like how reliable is this whole system for you?
Yeah, that seems so shitty. That just seems like it's like they really know what they're doing because they know that they can get away with it. It's
sophisticated, right?
It's definitely a long game for sure.
Yeah,
that makes more sense than Tenet.
Everything makes more sense than Tenet. Discordianism makes more sense,
right?
Tenet should have just been Discordianism and the definition on top of the screen. You would have been like,
for 3 hours, just the definition.
I'm like, what is Taoism? And yeah, so that's a little whatever. And then this last one, it comes back to the Venezuelans. That's what I really want to talk about because, again, I was like, damn, this is going to be interesting or not? But I really do think it will be. And it all comes down to in Queens, in Jamaica, Queens, right? We're going to watch a video shortly. We'll put it up on the screen for you. But in Queens, there was a police officer who struck and used a stun gun on a Venezuelan migrant while he was holding his 1-year-old son.
Holy shit.
So the guy's name is Yanni Cardero, and he's 47 years old. And basically, the explanation is that Yanni had his back against the elevator, right? And then he was first punched in he was stun gunned and then punched in the head while his son was right there. Now, the article says he was holding his son, and you'll see, I'll explain afterwards why I mentioned that detail. But once they separate the man and his son, they pin his head to a desk and they try to wrestle him to the floor. And another officer comes and punches Yanni in the face twice, and then they arrest him.
Jesus Christ.
So now we're going to show you a video. If you're just listening, just listen, I guess, if you could watch. But that's the explanation of what we're just about to watch right now. So yeah. Middle.
Esto es un abuso, hermano. Esto es un abuso, hermano. Esto es un abuso. Esto es un abuso, hermano. Oh my God. ¡Ey! ¿Qué pasa? ¡Lo están golpeando! ¡Ey! ¡No lo golpeen! ¡No lo golpeen! ¡No lo golpeen, hermano! ¡Eso es un abuso! ¿Dónde están los derechos humanos?
Oof, that's actually pretty upsetting, I'm not gonna lie.
Jesus,
that's actually really
Christ,
upsetting.
dude.
Yeah, I seen that. When I seen the video, I was like, "Oh shit, this is crazy," and I didn't know whether or not I want to talk about it because
shit, this is crazy.
I was like, dang. Anyway, Reddit.
Reddit going off.
So I mentioned earlier he was holding his son. So when I was reading the article, I thought he was holding his son in his arms. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you expected that as well, but his son was in the corner of the elevator. So that's a little small detail, but that's how important it is to really, like when you read an article, how different it can be from when you read it to when you watch it. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, they had both. And you never know how they're trying to sway it. Now, what I wanted to mention was basically that let's backtrack to what led up to this, right?
Okay.
But during that whole thing, what's it called? He had like shit and piss himself afterwards, because it was like, because he was scared,
Yeah.
And that's what the article mentions. Now, the police said that they were responding to a call of an intoxicated man that was threatening people that worked there. So that's like what they said, right? But and Yanni that day beforehand had left the shelter around 10 p.m. to pick up food for his wife and kids, and he came back with the food. I think it was chicken and rice. And then it's kind of this unspoken rule in these shelters where they don't allow outside food because they want to prevent rodents. Yeah. Even to the point where they'll like see people sleeping or whatever, or chilling, and if they see outside food, they'll just throw it away in the shelters and stuff, which is crazy. And he came back with the food, and he was trying to tell the officer, like, yo, I'm going to eat this in the cafeteria with my kids. But there was a language barrier. So he was trying to communicate with his phone on the translation app, like what he was trying to do. And while he was trying to explain, a second cop came. And while he was trying to explain again, the second cop kind of struck him in the face. He just kind of like, and then when that happened to Yanni put his hand behind his back, and he was like, he started taunting the cops, saying like, yo, if you want to fight, like, let's go outside, but he put his hands behind his back. Mm-hmm. All this was recorded and witnessed. No, it was witnessed by his children's godfather. What's his name? I'll get to his name in a bit. But yeah, he had witnessed the slap and everything. So they were kind of fucking with him already. Andy Barreto, that's his name.
Okay.
So yeah, Yanni said that throughout the whole situation, he didn't lift his hand once. He also said that he wasn't drunk because he had work the next day, so he couldn't have been drinking, right? Now, he was charged with resisting arrest, disorderly contact, and violent behavior, obstructing government administration, and acting in a manner injurious to a child under 17, which is crazy. And the police also arrested and charged his wife, Andrea Parra, 23 years old, crazy gap. But if you see her in the video, she's throwing herself in the middle, screaming.
Yeah, okay, like, so that was her.
That was her. And then the children were taken away by a child welfare agency.
Oh,
so
man.
all that got stuff. But 24 hours later, both of them were released and reunited with their kids. And they ultimately got moved to a facility in Brooklyn. So that's what happened.
Okay.
Now, when police were asked about this whole situation, they said nothing, right? And they didn't release any body cam footage. Very typical. Yeah, very typical, right?
Yeah, also, we got these body cams on.
We're not going to release any of it. Also, Eric Adams said that the cops acted correctly because Yanni was drunk and put his child in danger. So again, I also want to bring up that Eric Adams, if I'm not mistaken, said that the MTA is safer than ever, right? When I think maybe 2 weeks ago, a week ago, an MTA worker, 57 years old, got slashed in the throat by some random guy.
I actually saw that story.
So it infuriates me when this guy, that's the one thing that infuriates me about Eric Adams, how much he lies about the safety of New Yorkers. Like, I don't really care about the politics of, you trying to seem this and this and this, but when you like lie about the MTA being safe, like that's the biggest lie ever. Like, and I just hate that he prides himself on that. Yeah, because people are really getting killed. And I remember when I saw that video, I sent the video to him. Not that he'll see it, but it just infuriates me so much that like people are getting hurt. And that poor guy, like he's so close to retirement, and he got injured. I don't know if he's dead or not. I think he's fine. But it's just,
you sent the video to Mayor Adams.
Imagine he sees it.
Social activist over here.
And he's like, "Fuck you," like that.
He just sends you the sticker of himself smiling.
I mean, dead as fuck, bro. I'm like, put the Arthur hand. He's mad as fuck. But yeah, Yanni was basically saying like he was just upset that the whole thing happened, more so that his children had to witness all that stuff.
Man.
Yeah,
that's like that kid. Yes, they're super young.
No, that's super fucking traumatizing, bro.
Without a doubt. Like, because you said how old were they again?
Super young. I know one of them were like 3, 2, and maybe like a little old, but they're babies. Like you can see how young they were. They could walk, but they're very, very young.
And it's just like, they might be super young, but even still, like that's like pretty fucked up.
Yeah,
like that'd be awful for like to see, like
for anybody.
It's like,
and even when you see that part where the cop punches him twice in the face while he's on the desk with his hands behind his back, and the fellow cop is like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, and like nobody has to explain how tragic that is that if your fellow cop is telling you you're going too far, you can't undo that action, and he can't unreceive that violence that was put upon his face. And it's all being recorded. It's on the internet now, so that's humiliating for him. Yeah, it was crazy. So, but did you see this video? Did you hear about this at all?
I didn't actually.
So that's the one thing where I'm getting at with this. Like right now, there's 65,000 migrants in New York City that are Venezuelan, or like in general, I guess. But I think what more people have been talking about is Venezuelans. Like I think that's the word everybody's been hearing, right? And I think what's happening is what you said with the Russian comments. I mean, the comments that are like instigating these arguments between people, because a lot of these, when I see videos of Venezuelans or in any sense or form, the top comments are always like, he's a Venezuelan, like he shouldn't be in this country, like we need to get rid of this problem, and blah, 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 like Trump will get rid of them, blah, blah. And it's coming from Hispanics, like mostly, you know? And, oh, man. And I think like,
man, this really did come full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
it's almost like we planned it. No, we didn't.
We did not actually. But
we're just that good.
Exactly. How would this situation trend if this didn't happen to a Venezuelan migrant? Let's say it would happen to a black person, right? Let's say it happened to a woman, right? Happened to me. No, I'm kidding. But
happened to Link.
with the mass amount of videos that are spread when there's police brutality, you know, you always see that everywhere. And I didn't see this video once anywhere. Also, Instagram updated their political content thing. Yeah. You know, so whatever, like, you know, I mean, you can still look up news on your own, you know, like, you know, like,
don't fucking rely on social media for your news.
Exactly. How about you know, seek it out and find real stuff, because even those iterations of news are, you know, trying to fuck with you. But yeah, like, what do you think? Do you think this would have been more trendy if it had happened to someone that wasn't a migrant, or what?
Well, I think like sort of relating it, like, you know, what if this happens to like a black person or something? And it's just I thought of, well, I think it also depends on the time. And like, you know, right now that's the hot word, Venezuelans. Yeah. So it's just I think if this happened to a black person, it wouldn't be so much on everyone's radar today as much as it would have been, say, like during 2020 or 2021. Like during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that. Like if this happened to a black person like 2020, 2021,
it'll explode.
It would have been everywhere. Yeah. And it's just, but I think there's currently, with like the mentality towards Venezuelans coming into this country and into this city, there's a lot of disdain towards them.
A huge amount of disdain. Yeah.
And I think like a video like this, people see it and like they're probably just like, yeah, fuck the Venezuelans.
Like he shouldn't be here in the first place, or like he shouldn't have been drunk. Like they want to, you know, and mind you, the story is pretty foggy, but like if you see that, like I didn't see him fighting back at all. Yeah, I didn't see him at all. Like I just heard him screaming for like, yo, what are you doing? Like the only person that was going sporadic was the guy watching, saying like his human rights are being, you know, fucked up with. Like what happened to human rights? This is abuse. But that's why I'm thinking, like, we're seeing Venezuelans as less. And I feel like for me, when it comes to this situation, and I'll say more, but like being that, like, you know, I have family that's, you know, a lot legal here and stuff like that. Like, I will never ever say like they don't belong here. Like, I don't feel that way about anybody, no matter how much, like, this could be a lot of danger. I mean, it is causing a lot of danger to New York City. But I think if you're a hypocrite, if you're ever going to be like, they don't deserve to be here because like we got here the same way, you know? Well, I mean, I was born here, but you know, but it's but in the sense that I wouldn't be here without that.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just, you know, on our America, like that's what this country is all about. Yeah. This country is built off of immigrants.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also realistically like, see, that's where it is. Like, and then also like, there's also countries also built out of people that are born here also. Like, you know, like it's a mixture of both. And a lot of people, I mean, nobody's really from here, like, truthfully, you know, like how can I say, like roots, when it comes to roots, like if you're super American, your parents were racist, you know what I mean? Like your grandparents, but like they still count, and I don't like to exclude those type of people. I think this whole nation is built up of both, but it definitely has extremely dominant ties to immigrants. That's what you know.
Yeah, because the only reason why I say that is just like, you know, like you just said, no one's really from here. So it's like, we all came to this country and made it what it is today.
Yeah, shout out Native Americans.
But it's just that's just the reality of it. And so it's just, I think it is hypocritical for people to be like, these Venezuelans don't belong here, this and that, whatever. It's like, yeah, man, but it's just like, how the fuck did you get here? Yeah. And it's
tough, man.
It's a really tough thing. And it's just, you know, I'm not gonna say that like it's not dangerous what's going on and stuff. Yeah. But just like how I said last episode, we have killers and rapists born here in this country. Yeah. So it's just, And just like how you said that we had immigrants and people born here build this country how they are, it's the same thing with like these sort of situations. We have immigrants and people born here doing the same shitty things, or just trying to fucking be happy and live their life, and that's it.
And so also like so now in Queens there's a huge influx of crime that's happening because of the Venezuelans or migrants. I keep saying Venezuelans, but I mean migrants. But again, the word is like almost like Mexicans, Latinos. Like it's the
holy shit, you're Venezuelan.
And even people that I've talked to have said that they know people in Queens when they're around, like they feel that tense, kind of vibe. Because if you go to Corona, it's crazy. The cop presence has up. I mean, now there's Jonathan later too, but there's more cop presence. There's more Venezuelans around, and you notice that. And even near where I live, they set up like a shelter for them. And I was even nervous because they're outside with their mopeds and everything, and I had to walk past them. And like I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm worried because a lot of them are gang members. You know what I mean? Like not all of them, but there are some gang members there.
Yeah.
And I look fairly like just fuckable with. Like not in the sense
you do look pretty fuckable. I look at you like.
That's what I'm saying, bro. No, but I think and even someone I know had to like instead of walking down that block, she walked around the whole park just to evade that little area because it's dangerous. And then I saw a video of some guy like pickpocketing other people on the train and stuff. Jeez. I think right now there's 65,000 migrants in New York City. I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. What's it called? And I think when you hear, this is just in general for undocumented immigrants in NYC, you're able to collect cash assistance. It provides you with some money twice a month so you could buy things like toiletries and clothes. Medicaid pays for all your medical care, like going to the doctor, getting medication. WIC helps women, infants, and children buy things they need, like formula or cereal. And the reason I mention those things is because realistically, a lot of these migrants are getting housed in hotels, tents, like shelters and stuff. And then it all comes down to what about the homeless people here? That's like the biggest thing. Like I'm hearing a lot of that because it's true. Like, so I keep my stance for saying like, whether or not you get here is you, but like, what do you think in terms of should we be doing that for our own people first?
I mean, I think that's a difficult top I don't know if there's a right answer for them. Just personally to myself, I don't know if there's much of a right answer.
I think we should be helping the homeless people before that, like personally.
Because, the only reason why I say I'm not entirely sure is just mostly because like I've witnessed myself a lot of like just homeless people that like are not actually homeless.
Of course, a lot of lazy motherfuckers.
Yeah, and so it's just like that's where my issue lies with that, where it's
the
like
unhoused. Actually, sorry.
yeah. I don't even remember what episode that was, but I just that's sort of my issue with that, where it's just kind of like, yes, like it'd be nice if we could focus on our people first, but just as difficult as it is to prioritize the Venezuelans, it's just as difficult to prioritize ourselves. Like just by a person by person basis. It's like, how do you know that if you give this fucking person a hotel and Medicaid, if they're actually going to take advantage of those things?
I mean, you don't. I think that's anybody. I think, how do you know?
That's anybody. Yeah, so that's just my thing. It's like, that's why I don't have like a right answer. Or but personally for myself, I don't have much of an answer because I'm just like, I don't know. Like,
I think if you give people opportunity, most of them will prevail and like keep that. Some won't. But I think you also consider the fact that a lot of people are like drug addicted, alcohol abusers, like traumatic past like lives. I mean, past memories of events, whatever. But I don't think like that because I think in any sense or form, help is better than no help, especially to a mass amount of people that are like really in danger when they're in house. Venezuelans or not. I just think it's shitty for like homeless people to be here like needing help really like wildly. And then they see people come from a different country, immediately get like money given to them, like a nice, like there's some nice hotels in the city that they get to stay at because of this whole thing. Like I'm talking like real top tier places.
I know. Like I told you, patients come in and I get their addresses and I see the hotels that they're living in and shit like that. It's insane,
bro. It's insane. So, I mean, again, I don't really know either, but I think that it's insane how that's happening and how Eric Adams, of course, come back to it where he was open arms to the Venezuelans, and then he completely like said, nah, like we can't handle this no more. We need help from the president. But these, of course, are all coming from Abbott and DeSantis in Florida and Texas and sending the busloads. So it's incredibly interesting. And for me, it's more so like there's no more to the story, just the conversation of it. And I only mentioned like, you know, what if this person was this color or this race and everything. It's just, I think Venezuelans are being looked at as less, you know, and it makes sense because there's so many of them where it's like, you know, they technically are not from here, so it's hard to have empathy, you know, when like
they are the other.
They're basically, and when you walk down the block and you see this guy on the bench freezing to death while you get to go home, it's like out of sight, out of mind, you know. But when crime is going so highly because of that. That's when it really. You saw them beat up the cop. They beat up the cop. I guess some guy in Randall's Island started a whole problem where the police had to come and stuff like that. It's crazy, bro. Yeah,
we're living in crazy times right now, dog.
Yeah. But that's all I got. That's my three. That's my three little stories or whatever. But yeah, that's an open-ended conversation because I want to look more into it for sure.
You know, and I guess we'll throw the question to you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you think?
Yeah, I'll put that as like the Q&A thing, and just kind of get the vibe. Like, how you guys feel about this, and like our intentions, like I'm sure we both agree with this, is to never insult or offend anyone.
Never.
Like
and if you take it like that, fuck you.
Yeah, we're just here to share our opinions on this and that. And it's just, we're sorry if we offended you, I guess, but it's just like that's not what we're here to do.
Unless you're Buddhist.
unless you're white,
exactly,
with blue eyes, blonde hair, and raise your hand in a certain way. We don't fuck with you.
We extremely fuck with you. All right, that's and make sure you check out the socials.
Yeah. Check out the socials.
You got it.
Earth Mind Matter on Instagram, or no, Earth Mind Matter Pod on Instagram, Earth Mind Matter on YouTube, and Earth Mind Matter Pod on TikTok.
And like this episode, download it, do all that stuff if you want to. Dog. If you don't, whatever, I don't care.
Tell your friends. Yo, and also I'll also shout out Ashburn, Virginia.
Shout out Ashburn, Virginia.
Yeah, we got I don't know how many listeners over there, but they have a small percentage of our analytics right now.
Let's go.
So
Virginia.
Shout out Ashburn, Virginia.
I've been there once.
Hell yeah.
I went to Connecticut, actually. No, I've been to Virginia.
Yeah,
I went to Busch Gardens.
I've also been to Busch Gardens. Busch Gardens is fucking rad.
Shout out Busch Gardens.
Hell yeah.